Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we'll be breaking down having a weekend to kind of process the draft and also the Bulls making a signing and bringing in undrafted rookie Justin Lewis. And I want to talk about how he compares to somebody all Bulls fans seem to have wanted us to draft, and that's EJ Liddell. We'll also be talking about the Bulls' upcoming Summer League roster and diving into your voicemails in the mailbag. We'll get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Locked On Bulls is a member of the podcast Locked On Podcast Network, which your team every day. Today's episode is presented by BetOnline. But BetOnline has you covered with this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Hayes, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central. Let's go ahead and get into it. First up, Pat, it's been we did a special draft episode. It's the last episode heading into the weekend. We've now had the weekend to really process and think about what the Bulls did on draft night. Now, something that we didn't get to talk about, I think, on either of the episodes that we did, was they did end up signing undrafted rookie Justin Lewis. And I'm going to tell you like this, Pat. I don't know if you got a chance to go look into the young man since then, but as far as almost everything, size-wise, 6'7", 245 pounds compared to EJ Liddell's 6'7", 245 pounds. Justin Lewis has the same 6'11" wingspan as EJ Liddell. They played very similar roles in college. So now, taking time like this, how do you feel about the Bulls draft night? Better or worse?
Well, now I got to figure out if the wingspan that I saw on him is right or wrong, because I saw 7'2", but
A 7, okay. On who?
I saw
EJ
that he has
Liddell
a
or Justin Lewis?
7'2" wingspan, but I could be wrong.
Oh no, you could be right on that. Hey, 7'2", hey,
Um,
even give him even more credit then.
But no, I think the Bulls did pretty good on draft night, right? Clearly,
Mhm.
I'll tell you this, right? It's like a guy that it's kind of like Kanye West, right? Clearly has a type. He keeps going and getting that same type of girl, right? Like AK loves the 6'7", 6'8" guy with the long wingspan that's going to be able to play on both sides of the court. Clearly, AK has a type. But I think that it's a good pickup by the Bulls. I think that it's going to be a player who's going to make a name in the NBA that we didn't expect to get drafted anyway, because like how the draft boards had him, they had him like 35 on some, 33 on some, 38 on some, right? So I'm really excited to see what Justin Lewis can do. I mean, he was right outside of being one of those players that can get drafted. And I think that he's going to be another guy that you're going to be able to put on the bench. That's going to be a very grit and grind player. And guess what? I will say this, right? Like in comparison to EJ Liddell, he played at Marquette, so the competition's not completely the same, because they're like, yeah, they're a D1 school, but you're not playing all the same schools. But how he be pulling up in people's face, if that translates to the NBA, we got a 6'7" spark. like I was watching his tape. I was watching how aggressive he was. I was watching him just jay it in people's face. I was like, what is this?
The thing for me is I was looking at it honestly, and I'm like, I wonder if he's like 215 because he moves like a gazelle.
Almost, we on Locked On.
No, I got it. But seriously, like at his size, how he's able to move, I really do think Bulls fans, and this is why we're going to talk about what we're talking about in the second segment. But this is why I'm so excited about Summer League, because I'm telling you guys, like, there's always some really good basket. Like it's a player it's never like a bunch of talent all at the same time in Summer League, but you do get to see flashes and see really good parts about guys' skill set. So I'm really excited for Summer League. But I looked into this guy, watched some of his tape afterwards, and I'm just like, listen, does it give you everything EJ Liddell gave you? No. There's some things like EJ Liddell's I think probably a better jumper and a smarter shot blocker, but he's still younger. He's younger than EJ Liddell. So it's a lot to like about Justin Lewis. And the fact that they gave him a two-way deal when they easily could have just signed him to a camp deal, I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and listen, there were a lot of teams that wanted this kid. That's the thing that
Mhm.
you have to look at, right? Like again, like I said, after the draft, all of a sudden you see everybody running to the undrafted rookies. Hey, we want to get you in here. We want to get you in here, right? There was a lot of teams that wanted this kid Justin Lewis on their team. There's a lot of people that think that he's going to translate very well to the NBA. And it just didn't fall in his cards to get his name called on draft night, unfortunately. But how many people it's a very different NBA now. We've seen so many people come in undrafted and give you great success out of college. And we already know, listen, we've had a couple of Marquette guys in here. We know the work ethic they come with, the mentality they come with. This kid's going to come in here. He's going to get to work. I think he's going to do some things. He's going to do some things well for the Bulls, man. I'm excited about him. And I think that the things that I have concerns on with him, like you said, he's mad young. He'll be able to develop that type of stuff. He'll be able to develop, being a better rebounder in the NBA or a better shot blocker in the NBA. Like those are things that can come with time.
Yeah, it definitely. The thing is, and the way that I said it over on Chicago Bulls Central on the episode I dropped last night was just that I think that for this draft overall, for players, people who are upset about the Dalen Terry thing, if he does end up being what's meant to be the Kobe White replacement, I think AK and Eversley looked at that and said, "Hey, he already has some of the defensive intangibles that we can't get from Kobe. Do we think we can teach him to shoot better than we can teach Kobe how to play defense?" And that the answer to that question is what made that whole thing simple. When you look at Justin Lewis, much like the same mindset that we were trying to attach to certain draft trade possibilities, is that does he have everything EJ Liddell has right now? No, but does he give you enough of it to where it's like, hey, why trade down in the draft? Why try to send cash for another second round pick when, hey, this guy's probably going to go undrafted, and guess what? We think he can turn into a heck of a player.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's even more right. Like, if this does pan out,
Mhm.
you think about how people were clamoring for EJ Liddell and how we wanted him. And listen, we wanted him as well. You
Yeah,
think about,
yeah,
but then you're talking about you possibly got two players for the price of one, and you got two players that cover a multitude of things that you do with or that you needed help in. You needed
mhm,
more length, you needed more size. The Bulls definitely needed that, right? We talked about that all season. You need more depth. These guys are both going to be some interesting depth pieces on the team, and both guys can shoot. And again, like you said with Justin Lewis, right? Can I teach you how to shoot better? There's guys that came into the NBA that couldn't shoot that can shoot now. Brooke Lopez has a spark. You know what I'm saying? There's
Brook
always a
Lopez is
possibility,
making threes. Like, that's crazy.
bro, in people's face. Like I'm gonna look at you and I'm gonna pull up this slow jumper and I'm gonna catch this
Do you
mug out.
remember
So,
when he came into the damn league? It was literally like, "Hey, man, back to the basket. That's all I got."
bro,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. We're sidetracked.
Al Horford shot 100% from the 3-point line one season because he only took one. He went 6 for 8 in the NBA Finals.
It's crazy. Yeah, yeah. See, yeah.
So you can learn how to shoot better. They've got guys in there for that, right? But if he can come in, Justin Lewis, I don't know if he made an all defensive team, but I know that Dalen Terry was on his all defensive team, all Pac-12 or all SEC. I don't remember which conference Arizona's in. I'm not a college guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. But when you can come in and have those defensive intangibles and already have a pretty good shooting percentage and already rebound the ball well, the
Mhm.
small things we can figure out. Like we can shape your game that way. And listen, like summer league, summer league is gonna be interesting to see for me, right? Like summer league doesn't hold much merit because like I watched Tony Snell destroy people and then
And
become Tony
Justin.
Snell.
No, no, no. What was Denzel Valentine? Watch Denzel
Hey, bro,
Valentine. Wasn't he like
destroy people,
the summer league MVP or something once? I don't know. Like,
bro.
pointless.
Legitimate. We won the summer league championship. It was the first year I figured
That's
out
what
it
it
was a
was.
thing.
Yes.
I had
Yeah.
no idea that was even a thing. I thought Muzz was out there just getting some run on them legs, but so I don't
That's
hold summer league in super high regard with it, but it is nice to kind of be able to see what these guys can do and see what they've been able to adapt to their game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these two young men can bring to the team. And we didn't really talk about it, but Javon Freeman Liberty signed as well out of DePaul. So
yes. Yeah.
hopefully he'll be able to make a two-way deal. Did he sign to a two-way or did he sign to to a
No, he's still can't. He on
summer
summer
league
league
deal?
too. Yeah,
Just a summer league deal?
yeah.
So, hopefully he'll be able to showcase something, man.
Hey, that's what summer league is for. That's what it's built for. And hey, I think people also forget there have been quite a bit of players now who have had to work their way through the summer league and G League and really get it. Like heck, I think when Isaiah Thomas came back, he did have a G League stint, but he shined in summer league. I think too. He decided to play in the summer league. So yeah,
Yeah.
don't sleep on summer league. But we'll be getting to the next topic today, which we'll talk about what's coming up in the Bulls summer league. I also want to talk about what may be in store for Kobe White. But first, got to talk to you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline is the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, scores, and more. And BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Pat, listen. So we talked about it. We dipped in it a little bit with Summer League. The Bulls Summer League schedule was already been announced. My question to you is this: should all Bulls fans try to tune in to Summer League this year just because of the questions that so many of us have about Dalen Terry?
Um, if you wanna get a look at him, sure, you know what I'm saying? If you wanna
Mhm.
kinda see him getting full run, getting an opportunity, take a look at him, sure. I mean, the thing that I will say about summer league, right, is summer league has somewhat closed the gap. It kind of more so looks like the, what's the you dig at the All-Star game? It's like the rookies versus sophomore game now,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
kinda looks a little bit closer to that, like, except people are actually playing defense. Um, so I think that summer league's a lot more entertaining. I think there's just a lot more talent that's coming into the league, and so you get to watch it. And if you have questions on Dalen Terry, yeah, check them out. You know what I'm saying? If you have questions on Justin Lewis, check them out. If you have questions on Ayo DeSumo or you have questions on Marco Simonovic, check them out. You know what I'm saying? Summer league's always a good thing to kind of get the juices flowing, kind of get you excited. Like I said, I
Mhm.
don't take too much away from summer league. I enjoy it. I watch it for what it is. I don't lose my mind one way or the other because there's a lot of people that have dominated summer league and have come to the NBA and they haven't been that player. And there's a lot of people who have looked very mid in summer league. And I left and I was like, oh, well, he'll be all right in the NBA, but he ain't gonna be a star. And now, they're killing the game out here. So I think that's kind of the thing to just keep in mind. The biggest thing, right, is to see, and I don't know, you got the list of teams there, don't you? That we play?
No, I don't have
I
it
put you on
up
the
right
spot.
now.
My bad, brother. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
come
do
on,
that.
man. You
Yeah,
know you
that's
know
my
what the heck
bad.
you do.
You always so prepared. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting on the
I am
couch.
usually so
I'm sitting on
prepared.
the couch, and that because the only thing that gets you excited during summer league is when you see your guys go up against those. When you have later picks, go up against those best picks in the draft, those top picks in the draft, right? And listen, if you do great against a dude that went 1, 2, or 3, you feel really good about it.
So here's the Bulls summer league schedule so far. We have another game that is yet to be announced, but we got the Bulls versus Mavericks July 8th. Bulls at
Okay.
Knicks July 10th. Again, they
Yeah.
didn't do nothing with their 11th pick, so that team's not going to be anything. Bulls at Raptors on July 12th, and Bulls at Hornets on July 14th. So we get to take a look at Mark Williams.
So basically, no. Well, Marco versus Mark Williams. Whew, please, Marco, please, heaven forbid, please, heaven forbid.
Do you know how the narrative would change around Marco Simonovic if Marco gave Mark Williams the business in summer league? That's all it would take.
And listen, that's what I'm hoping for. But like, I'm also like, oof, I watched you get dunked on a lot last year, Marco. Like, that might not be the matchup for you, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
No, like that's the thing. So even if that fifth game ends up being versus a top team, I think it'd be a little more intriguing. But I don't know if I'll tell you what, the Knicks doesn't intrigue me at all. Good lord, like what is Emmanuel quickly coming back for a fifth stint in the summer league? Like
Who knows? Who knows? Probably. Because yeah, I don't know who they gonna have out there. Um, but yeah, some league I'm just excited to see some more basketball. I'm excited to take a look at some players that I may not know the most of. But the next thing I want to go into while we're still in this segment is one thing that did not happen that a lot of Bulls fans were hoping or thought was going to happen in the draft. Kobe White's still a Chicago Bull. So where do we sit at that right now? And we had talked about like maybe they were shopping Kobe and the pick separately, whatever. At this point, we now know that they have to be because that pick
Yeah.
is no longer on the table unless you're going to try to package it with the Portland pick, which I hope not. But what do you think? Has your prediction changed that Kobe's going to be on the roster by opening night now? What do you think?
Has my prediction changed? No, because the Bulls still need a lot of things, right? Like, and I don't think that you get some of those things without moving some pieces, right? And
Mhm,
Kobe's the most enticing. He's a young player who seems like he's been a little bit up and down in the NBA, but when he's up, he's absolutely a guy that could put up 30 to 40 points. That entices a lot of people. He's making 8 million this year. Final year of his rookie deal as well. So he's going to be in a contract year where you can try to get the most for him, right? Like I could see Kobe being the Bulls' best trade piece right now, outside of one of the stars on this team in Vooch or something like that with an expiring deal. But no, I still think Kobe White ends up getting moved because the Bulls still need big man help, because the Bulls still need, uh, uh, a depth on that bench that's actually going to
mhm.
be there. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So that's actually going to produce, I guess I should say, right? And I don't know if AK's running out. Troy Brown again next season is what I'm saying. I don't. He's young, but yeah, that experiment might have sailed its course already.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see, man. I don't know, man. What's going on with Kobe is always going to be hard to predict, right? Because you can always try to talk yourself into keeping a player that could get you 16 points off the bench easily,
Yeah,
right? We just needed to be more consistent. So, I mean, is there a world in which AK and Eversley say roll the dice and say, hey, we're going to try to improve the defense that we need on this bench, but we're going to, if we can't find a really the 3-and-D person that we want, we're going to improve the defense and go and maybe run it back with Kobe and see what we can do with the trade deadline. Do they say, hey, we roll the dice on Kobe and say, let the market set his deal next year. We'll match if we match. Like, there's a lot of different ways that they can go about it. Now, with the way that AK and Eversley have typically run is that they want to get the most out of anything they can. It's very rare that you see them just let somebody walk and
yeah.
possibly and leave the door open to them just walking away in restricted free agency. So I still think the good money, the smart money is to still bet that by the trade deadline he's gone.
And here's the thing, right? Like, if Kobe White is on this team at the start of the season, as you now see somewhat more of the makeup of this team, right? Are
Mhm.
you upset? That's the question Bulls fans got to ask themselves. I don't know if I'd be upset because guess what? There is still question marks around Kobe White. Do I think that you could trade him? Do I think that you could move him? Yeah, I do. Do I think that he's going to develop the way that the Bulls want him to develop, sitting behind Zach LaVine and only coming off of the bench? I don't think that that's going to be possible for him here. But at the same time, Kobe White's never had a season where he's come in healthy, or there was, COVID. So he
Yeah.
never really has had that training camp to work out the kinks and get himself in there and ready for the season. If Kobe White comes in here and starts to light it up, right? Like, now all of a sudden you start to think, okay, maybe we got a couple months of this player that's a really good shooter off of the bench. There's something to be excited about. And that might even be a moment where you're like, okay, maybe we do keep Kobe White now all of a sudden, right? Like, you can change the narrative by how you play in a half a season.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I mean, when you, like I said, 3 months out that season, he can go on a run like that to start the season. Who knows what may be able to happen. But it really is just all up on if he is on this roster starting day, he has to come in and he'll know his role, probably even more defined than what it was last year if they improve this bench the way that it looks like they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So maybe they do. I know a lot of people are thinking it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be gone, but I look at things now and say I don't think that it's as much of a foregone conclusion at what it once was. Coming into the draft, I thought it was going to be for sure, but we're going to wait and see the first couple of moves they make in free agency, but they could very well improve almost every other aspect of the bench and say, listen, now we're a little bit more padded when Kobe is inconsistent. So
my favorite part is gonna be all of the Kobe White overlovers. I like to call some of the fans out there, yeah, I'm saying, who are gonna be vindicated when Kobe White's on the road. I told y'all they ain't getting rid of Kobe. Stop playing with us, man. Stop
oh
playing
yeah,
with Kobe
you
White,
already
man.
know it's coming, right?
All right, bro. It's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's why we do this. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all don't realize some of them comments we be dying laughing at. Some of them comments be having us in stitches,
Yeah.
man. But hey, before we get into y'all mailbag, shout out to y'all for sending in voicemails. We can't wait to hear them, man. We do want to let you know that this episode is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless and seemingly intimidating questions like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand that their warehouse happens to carry. You have computer access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Listen, you're saving time, you're saving money when you use Rock Auto. Why would you choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership when you just they've been serving family businesses, doing do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. They have experience that you need, and they have all the parts you need, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today and find a solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, right? Locked on in there. How'd you hear about us box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts you'll ever need at rockauto.com.
Dun 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 dun.
Let's go.
Oh man. So next up, we're gonna get into the voicemails from the love. Wait a second. You know one thing we got to come up with a name for the Locked On Bulls community. We got to come up. We don't have a catchy name for it yet. We got to come up with one.
Okay.
So anyway, we're gonna go to the voicemails for members of
C-Red
Locked On Bulls community. Yeah, C-Red Nation. I mean, we're all a member of C-Red Nation. We need our own little corner. Locked On Bulls is his own particular dysfunctional family.
Y'all come up with some nicknames in the comments below for yourselves. We'll try and pick the best one, man.
There you go.
Make them do some work, man.
There you go. Let's go ahead. So first voicemail of the day. We're gonna go ahead and play that now.
Hey, Hayes. This is Robert Schwartz.
Robert!
I have a question. What do you think about a possible trade for Kyle Kuzma? Would you think that would be a good fit for the Bulls? Kyle Kuzma.
All right. Shout out to Robert for always supporting.
Hey, the long pause in the second Kyle Kuzma got me.
He wanted to make sure we knew who he was talking about. I look at Kyle Kuzma and theoretically, yes, I would love to have his skill set off the bench, right? I would love to have how he played last season in particular on this team coming off the bench to give us some scoring and stuff. But I look at Kyle Kuzma's contract and it tells me there's no way. It's not happening. Like Kyle Kuzma makes almost $18 million a year. Unless we're bringing if we're bringing somebody in of that type of, I think we're looking at trying to bring in a starting center, not necessarily somebody who's still, because they're still not going to start him over P. Will. But that's my opinion, Pat. What do you think?
I think you would have to, right? Like to me, if he came in, you would have to start him over P. Will, just because it seems like he's just a little bit ahead of P. Will. He's figured out his body finally. You know what I'm saying? He came in, hit a little bit of a growth spurt, figured out, hey, down low, I'm a monster. You know, and he figured it out against us, by the way. Like, I don't know if Bulls fans remember that, but Kyle Kuzma was having a very sputtering season, and then the Bulls came in there, and I was like, no, we should kick the crap out of the Wizards. And then Kyle Kuzma figured out, oh wait, I'm a demon down here. I'm finna dominate.
But we still won that game.
We did say, well, game winner.
That was the DeMar buzzer beater game. We still won the game.
Buzzer beaters. I ain't mad at it, but yeah, that was the only tainted part about the buzzer beaters. It was like,
y'all shouldn't have had to do this. Go off.
We shouldn't have had to do this, but I would love to have Kuz. He was one of the players that I thought the Bulls should try to pursue at the trade deadline, because I thought that he was a player that could come in here and give you that rebounding and scoring that you needed while P. Will was out. But I like you said, with that contract, Kuz to me is a long shot player.
Yeah,
Kyle
sure.
Kuzma.
Let's go ahead and get to the next one.
What's up, Hayes? What's up, Pat? Look, man, I know everybody is talking about this whole Rudy Gobert deal and John Collins deal, but I'm here to tell y'all I wouldn't necessarily go for neither one of them. And look, I understand people say you gotta sometimes make sacrifices if you want to win big, but think about it. Look at what the Brooklyn Nets just did this year, and look at what the Los Angeles Lakers just did this year. You know, so I mean, I'm not necessarily high on necessarily getting the guys like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I know you gotta sometimes sacrifice big to win, but it's just like, you know, when you think about it, we were actually a pretty good top 3 defensive team when we were all healthy.
Okay, we gotta stop. We gotta stop him there. Like I get what Shay's getting at. Don't get me wrong. Um, but to not understand what rim protection and offensive rebounding would mean to this team that was l- lower in the league in both. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily have to get rid of Vooch to do so. We've talked about other ways that we can acquire rim protection and rebounding. But to say that, I would never say that blindly we should just be against trading for better players if they truly make the team better, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's what it's all about, right? It's just, and I look at the Vooch, even if it's Vooch and Collins, right? At that point, I'm looking at the Bulls saying, "Hey, there's John Collins can give a similar output, albeit he needs to stay healthy. But then we have him under contract longer because he's younger, and this is Vooch's expiring contract. I can see. I don't think that's going to happen, but I can see a world in which maybe that was something the Bulls had heard or listened to or explored. Now with the Rudy Gobert thing, guys know I was very much so in the mindset that I didn't want to see the Bulls go after Rudy because of that contract. But again, that wouldn't have been the only move. In a vacuum, no. If that was the only move the Bulls could make this offseason was bringing Rudy Gobert, I say that was the wrong one. But because by then trading for Rudy Gobert, they still have so many other assets they can go in and try to refill the team up. You know, you got to see how the full roster's constructed. I think sometimes we're too quick to make these no's on just at least exploring some options. What do you think, Pat?
Well, I think the difference in especially the examples you brought up, or that Shay brought up, I should say, in Brooklyn. One, Brooklyn signed some really good players, and they got a good haul back for James Harden. Yeah, they did bet it all on James Harden, but that was a good player at that time to bet it all on because
Mm-hmm.
you were going to have a three-headed monster. Did it work out? No. Sometimes you take a swing and miss. Hopefully they'll be able to figure out what's going on with Kyrie, and they'll be able to get Kyrie back in the building, and you get KD back in the building. And I'll tell you what, if I get to start my season with Kyrie and KD off, I feel like I've got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the rest of the makeup of the team is. I feel like I've got a shot. And as far as the Bulls comparing to the Lakers, right? Like the Lakers traded their entire future for that one ring. But that is
Mm-hmm.
one ring.
Yeah.
That is a ring that we don't have. That is one ring. That means something. Call it a bubble ring, say that it's a tainted ring. But I guarantee you, if we had won that bubble ring, we'd be around here screaming championship 7.
Exactly.
You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? So like I'm not one to disrespect a championship that is won. They went out and they won a championship, and guess what? They're still running it back. If they do have to run it back, they've got Anthony Davis and LeBron James on that team. That's two pieces that are better than any piece that we have on this team right now. Yes, AD is hurt a lot of times, but that's still two pieces that we have that are better than any piece on this team right now. And so I'm willing. The thing about the NBA is that talent trumps all. I'd rather have the better talent. Always. Do I think Rudy Gobert is that? I think Rudy Gobert can be that. But I think Utah hates him, or at least Donovan Mitchell
Fair enough. Yeah, definitely. Let's get into the next
does.
one.
Fair enough.
Hey, Hayes, I got a scenario for you. What do you think if the Bulls went and got PJ Tucker and Jalen Brunson? And what if they brought back Derrick Rose?
There it is. There it is. Hey, first off, Robert, hey, man, I'm on the show too, brother.
He just says that because my voice is on the voicemail, bro. That's the only.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
all
okay.
it
All
is.
right.
That's all
Okay. I'm like, I got to get on the voicemail or something, brother. I need a joint voicemail in this mug. Like, hey, Hayes, what? Our first bring back Derrick Rose of the offseason, bro.
Yeah. You know it was coming.
Hey, I bring him back just so he don't go to the Bucks. I will say that. I don't want to see that. I saw
Yeah,
that report come out and I was like, oh God, no, please.
yeah.
No.
Jalen Brunson is his long shot for the Chicago Bulls. We don't need more guards, especially now after this draft. No more guards. So I don't think the guards and the money that he wants. Listen, we're not going to sign Zach LaVine at the type of money and then Jalen Brunson at the type of money he can get. PJ Tucker, we've talked about heavily already. I think I've said my piece on that. Is that I like PJ Tucker as a player a lot. But for him to potentially take your full mid-level exception, and last that we did here is that I can't remember which team was prepping to give him a 3-year, $30 million deal. That is your full mid-level exception.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of sit on that. What about you, Pat?
PJ. There's a lot for PJ. I think all the names that he kind of said. I'll say this: I wouldn't be mad at Derrick Rose. I don't know how you get that. Like you would have to trade for him. I don't know who you would trade for him. Surprisingly enough, right? Like that's one piece I wouldn't give Kobe White up for because Derrick is 33. And even though he could give you good guard production off of the bench, but also I kind of want Ayo Dosunmu to be that good guard production for us off of the bench, and Dalen Terry, who we just drafted. So, but I guess if you feel like he's going to go to the Bucks and he could be a piece that could hurt you, right? It could be a chess move to go get a Derrick Rose just to keep him away from other teams. Because when Derrick is healthy, he's still a problem on the court. And especially coming off of the bench where he's isolated in his attack time, it's still a problem that you have to deal with coming off of the bench. And the Bucks really were in need of that guard help. So I could definitely see that deal getting done.
I guess we'll see. I don't as hopeful, I guess, of saying that a Derrick Rose deal can get done at all. I think I just don't. PJ Tucker could be a possibility. I just think for what he could get worth, we got to do, especially now that we didn't address it in the draft, right? I said especially if we didn't address our need for length and rebounding in the draft, we're probably going to address it for agency. So almost PJ Tucker's a no on that. But I like where the head's at. I would love. Don't get me wrong. I would love Derrick Rose to be a Chicago Bull. I just don't know if it kind of. I think that ship kind of
There's
sailed
no
last
scenario
offseason,
where
bro.
it makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
There's no scenario where it makes sense, but I think every Bulls fan would be like, "That's okay."
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd all excuse it, even me. Like, don't get me wrong. They announced today Derrick Rose is being traded to the Chicago Bulls. I'm losing my stuff, right? I'm going to be happy. Like, yeah, man.
He's
Just
home.
to see Derrick do his floater again in the UC in a Bulls uniform, dreads or not. Like, that's going to be so nostalgic, fam.
Oh, man. I would love to see Derrick back home, bro.
Man.
I would love to see Derrick
listen.
back home. It makes no sense, but I would love it.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely love it. Let's get into the last voicemail for today.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Oswaldo from Aurora. I have a quick question for you. If you had to choose between Ayo Dosunmu or Patrick Williams to be on your next Bulls championship team, who do you got on your team? All right. So do you think that Ayo Dosunmu will be on the next Bulls championship team? Or do you think Patrick Williams will be a member of the Bulls next championship team? Looking forward to listening to what you got to say about this. Go Bulls.
I think where we sit is that I think both of them are going to be. I think they're both going to be here for the long-term future of the Chicago Bulls. It's not like we have to decide between one or the other. But if you're asking me which player that I think is going to be, if I had to choose between one, next time the Bulls win a title, is Patrick Williams on the roster or is Ayo Dosunmu on the roster? I'm going to say it's hard, man. I would be willing to bet on Patrick Williams more so, not only just because of how this front office sees him, but because I think there's so many guards in this league now that I would bet on. I'm not thinking he's going to be replaced, but if I had to bet on one of these players being replaced before we win the next title, I would say that maybe it's Ayo because they feel like they can go out and get another guard. What about you, Pat? What do you think?
I think it's Ayo.
Yeah, you think it's Ayo?
I think Ayo would be on this team because of how AK drafts. Listen, we hope P. Will becomes the player. I told y'all, I think he's going to be the best defender in the NBA next season. He's going to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, and I think that he's going to be a pretty good offensive player. I think he's going to take a big step, but we see that AK has a type.
This is
AK
true.
found 3 possible replacements for Patrick Williams in this
6'7",
draft.
11-foot wingspan. That's it. 6'7" with the I'm sorry, 7-foot wingspan or close to it. You're on AK's radar.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
AK's found that guy twice in this draft, right? And at the 18th pick and undrafted. So I feel like Ayo Dosunmu would be the player that would be able to probably be on the championship team more than P. Will. Now, granted, of course, both are here, and I think that both will be here for quite some time. But I think Ayo, especially with Lonzo being having always had, kind of up and down injury issues in the NBA, you can see Ayo get some legit time. I think Ayo projects to be a Drew Holiday type of player in the NBA. And you telling me I got a Drew Holiday type of player running the show for me? I'd take that.
All right. I mean, hopefully we don't. Like I said, I think it will be both of them because I don't think they're getting rid of either one of them. Like I just don't. Io's going to get his money next offseason. Patrick Williams is going to get his money the offseason after that, and they're going to be both on the Chicago Bulls for the next 6 years. So
bang, championship 7 coming.
Yeah, there you got it. There you have it. There you have it. But yeah, man, that is it. That was the last voicemail for today. You got any other parting words before we go?
Nah, man. Good to be back. Ready for another week, man. Let's get busy.
All right. Make sure you're following us at Locked On Bulls, right? You didn't plug the social media. That's usually
my
your
bad.
gig,
My
but
bad.
I got it. You can follow him at Pat the Designer. You can follow me at CEO Hayes. Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check out the latest news and rumors around the NBA in just 30 minutes with Locked On NBA. They're available wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Hayes, and we out this. Peace, y'all.